Chris O'Neill from Sew the Distance, and today I'm going to show you how to make this adorable package pillow. I made a quilt out of this block last year for the Quiltmas giveaway, and I never did a tutorial on how to actually make the block. So I'm going to do that today. We're going to make this adorable pillow. It's quick, easy, makes a great gift or something to just decorate your own home with. If you're interested in the pattern for the quilt, I do have that up in my shop now, so you can check that out. And I also have a PDF for the instructions on this pillow if you'd like to see that too. Let's get started making this beauty. It's so much fun. Okay, let's go. Okay, so as I usually do, I have trays with everything set up, so I'm ready to go. I like to label them too, and you can see that here. So you're gonna need a piece of batting, and I'll put up on the screen the sizes of everything that you'll need. You'll need your gift wrap fabric. I have a whole tray, as you can see, of all of my sets that I'm ready to work with, but I really wanted to try making one of these out of the plaid because I love the plaid. And I also have the bow and ribbon units here. My background fabric, so the bow base, which is actually a flying geese unit that we're gonna make, and then the sides, and then a backing for the pillow. We will also need fiber fill. And I love to use pillows from Walmart. I find them to be a lot cheaper, and the fiber fill is a little fluffier for some reason. I usually buy a 2-pack and they're only usually like $5 or something. So that's how I use fiber fill, but you can use whatever you'd like. And the amount that you'll need just depends on how much fluffiness you want in your pillow. Okay, so our first step is to, after cutting all the fabric out, of course, is to take our package pieces and our vertical ribbon pieces. And you're going to take 2 of the package pieces and set 2 aside. And then the vertical ribbon pieces, you're gonna place on one end. And I'm gonna pin this just because I like to pin. You could clip it too if you wanted to. And you're gonna sew 1/4 inch down the side here, just like that. So I'm gonna do that and meet you back here. Okay, these 2 are done. I'm just gonna clip them apart. Okay, so this step is really important and it kind of helps you with the construction of this unit. So just bear with me here because it's not gonna seem right, but it is right. Oh, and I forgot about talking about the fabric. I'll talk about that in a few minutes, but okay, let's first get the units done, or at least the base unit. I'm gonna press one of these towards the ribbon, so like that. So the seam goes towards the ribbon, and I'm gonna press one of them so the seam goes towards the gift wrap print, or the plaid in this case. And as always, I set my seam so I lay the iron directly on before I do anything. Doesn't matter which one you do which way, just so they're opposites. So I'm gonna lay that there and press. Oh, I love this green ribbon with this plaid. And this one has to go towards the gift package, or the gift wrap, whatever you want to call it. The printed, pretty, I don't know, fabric. All right, I'm gonna move this out of the way, and we're going to attach our other piece. And all we're gonna do is lay this on top, like that. I'm going to pin it, and I'm gonna make sure that they are lined up, nice and straight, straightish, like I like to say. And I like to pin this way. I know, it's weird, I'm odd. I've pinned the other way, so I know people get angry with me in the comments. I've done it this way, but when I do it this way, I don't catch as much surface area. And I feel like I get a better seam if I do it this way. So I don't know, to each their own. There's a million ways to make a quilt, right? All right, I'm going to sew 1/4 inch down both of those sides and be right back. Okay, these are sewn, clip them apart. And whichever way you pressed the first pieces, you're gonna press it the same way. So for this one, I pressed towards the ribbon. I'm gonna press towards the ribbon for the next one, of course, after setting my seams. So I'm gonna set my seam and then press towards the ribbon. And I'm gonna do that, whatever way I pressed, I'm gonna do that with this one. This will make sense, I promise this will make sense. Set that seam and press. Nope, I did it the wrong way. All right, that's not a big deal. See, I gotta pay attention to what I'm doing here. Press it this way. Although they're not great, let me press it again. think maybe my mini iron is dying. It is not getting as hot as I'd like. And I'm gonna help this along with a little bit of best press. There we go. Maybe Santa needs to bring me a new iron. Okay, I've had that one for a couple years. All right, and this one goes in. This one's a little bit better. I like best press. It's a nice light starch. It doesn't distort the fabric. You do have to be careful with starch, using starch after you start sewing, because you don't want it to mess up the sizes, but this is a nice light one. Okay, now that we have these two pieces done, they're pressed to the right direction, we are going to add our middle ribbon unit. So you can take whichever side, it doesn't matter unless you're using directional prints, then it will matter. And let me show you an example. I'll take my tray from this here, right here. Isn't this cute? I love, love, love this little fabric, and I'm planning on making a quilt out of this, all of these fabrics, because it's so much fun, out of this block. All right, so these would matter because you don't want your little reindeer to be upside down like this. So you want to pay attention to that if you're using a directional print. And also when you're using a directional print, especially with a stripe, you do want to line it up. It can be tricky, and you just need to pay attention and take your time with lining up all the pieces. Let me show you an example. This is a test block I made, and I made it a little smaller than the one we're making for this pillow, which is cool about this because you can change the sizes a little bit. But you can see that my lines go right across just like a gift wrap would go. If they were wonky, it wouldn't quite look right, at least in my opinion. I mean, you could do it and play with it and do whatever you'd like. All right, so our next step, we are going to place the ribbon unit on one side like this, line it up. We're gonna pin or clip, and I like to pin right at those press seams because I want to make sure they're going the right direction. And again, this will make sense in a minute. I might throw another pin or two in there just to keep it nice and secure. It's a little bit of a long span, and I want to make sure it stays nice. All right, I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way down this and meet you back here. I'm going to show you why pressing it the way I did is important. Okay, I'm going to set that seam just like that. And then I'm going to press towards the ribbon. That'll help reduce some of the bulk that we'll have. This really doesn't matter though, especially with a pillow, because you don't really have anything that's nesting up against this block. So if you want to press it the other way, that's fine. We are going to add the top piece of our package. I mean, isn't this easy? It's wonderful. I love oversized blocks for this very reason. Now, the reason we press these opposite is because they are going to nest down here, and it's going to ensure that your ribbon is straight. I've seen blocks before that are done and the ribbon is a little off, and even just being a little off, it makes it not look quite right. So this is an important step, in my opinion. Again, we all have our own comfort zone, right, with quilting and sewing. And we're going to be careful to make sure this is really nested. So I pin down here just to make sure it stays put and doesn't wiggle as it's going through the machine. And then I pin up here. And of course, there's no nesting seams up here because the seams are down here. So putting a pin below just holds it all in place. Again, it's a long span, so make sure you pin well. Next, I'm going to sew 1/4 inch, same as before. And this block is like, it's coming together so quick, right? So much fun. All right, okay, moment of truth. The stress, the stress. I am gonna set that seam, but at first I just wanna peek. Look at that, it's perfect. It's lined up exactly. No wonky ribbons here. All right, I'm going to set those seams and then press again towards the ribbon. So I'm gonna flip it over. And this is another tip when you're pressing, whichever direction you want the seam to go is what needs to be up. So I want it to come this way, so I'm going to press it like that. And that's your base of your package. But what's a package without a bow, right? So in our next step, I'm going to show you how to make the bow to this package. For the bow, we're basically making, not even basically, we're making a flying geese unit. So we have our base. Now I like to make my flying geese units a little bigger and then trim them down. And I love to use the block lock rulers. Now these are spendy. They're a little bit of money. I'm going to show you how to use a regular ruler to do this. And I'm also going to show you on a different type of ruler too. So I have a couple different choices that you can use. Forgive me, I'm still getting used to these two cameras, so sometimes I look up. as you can see. All right, so we're going to take the flying geese unit, lay one of our blocks right on it like this. It's a little small, but that's okay because we're trimming it down, so it's not a big deal. I take a ruler and a marking pen. I'm just going corner to corner like this. And I'm gonna sew directly on this line. Now, if I want to, I could sew a 1/2 inch away and get a bonus block, but well, actually, let's just do that. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna sew directly on that line and meet you back here. So this is all sewn. And notice how it's a little bubbly. This is why I like to set my seams, because that's gonna all go away here in a minute. Look at that. Look at that. All right. Now between those two lines, I'm just gonna lay my ruler down and cut. That way I have a 1/2 square triangle, and I have a 1/2 square triangle bin that I keep these all in. Someday I'll make a quilt. And then I have this one. This is a bias edge. It is secured by the seam, so you don't have to be too concerned, but I still like to be very careful when I'm pushing this over. And I just finger press it, and then take the iron and press it carefully. Just like that. All right, now the next piece you have to pay attention to, because you want it to go the right direction. Place it on just like we did before, and we are going to go from this corner to this corner. That's where we're drawing our line. Just like that. Now if I want to do a bonus block, which I'm going to do on this too, I'm going to go a 1/2 inch this way, like out to the outer corner, because this is the part we're going to be cutting away. There we go. I'm going to sew on both those lines. All right, set those seams. Just a really good habit to be in. Trim it. I'll set this one aside because we don't need it for this block. And again, I'll finger press and then press it. All right. Now it looks a little wrong, right? But if I turn it this way, it's a bow. Like, that's so cool. Okay, I'm gonna grab my rotating mat to show you the next step. Like I said, I like to use the block locks. It goes right on here. There's little grooves that get right into those corners. I'm not sponsored or anything. It's just one of my favorite tools that I have. If I were to use this, I would just trim around the outside and then it'd be ready to go. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna show you a different way. I do have this ruler, and if you put it on with these lines lined right up, it does the exact same thing as the block lock. It just doesn't have the groove, so you have to be careful moving it around. That's one way. Another way is to, this one's not gonna, yes it is gonna work. I can trim off that top so I can measure 1/4 inch here, putting this line on this angle, and then turning it around, putting this on this angle and going all the way around to trim it up if I want to. So there's a few different ways to do it. I personally love the block lock, but I'm gonna try, if I get my label out of the way, this way, because, you know, hey, I'm committed to making sure you guys aren't spending a ton of money too. All right, I'm gonna hold it in place, and I'm going to cut around it, being careful, turn and cut. Just like that. Okay, and that should be the right measurement, which is, it is, yay, 8.5 by 4.5 inches. That's our bow. Okay, so next we're going to take these guys. These are the sides of the bows. You're gonna need 2 of them. You're gonna place one on this side and one on the other. Now, it won't fit if you do it this way. So there's only one way to do it. It's this way. So a 1/4 inch down. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side, and then we're gonna have the topper done. Building our pillow. I set the seams and I pressed out towards the new pieces. All right, so now we have our top and our bow. Oh my goodness, look at that. It's all almost done. Oh, I love the plaid. How cute is this? All right, so I'm gonna take the bow and place it on here. You can see I'm a little off right there. I can just trim that down. Really, this is so forgiving when you're just doing one block like this. You can trim the whole thing down and it's not a big deal. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go in, one of my rulers, and trim it down. Make that straight. No big deal. Now, I'm ready to attach this. So I'm just gonna lay this up here, make sure it looks good, and flip it down like this, and pin it and sew a 1/4 inch. After we do that and press it, we're done with the package and we can start making our pillow. Yay! Okay, I went and got a manicure, so I'm all ready for the holidays. And I also fused my block to the fusible fleece. You can use any batting you want. I like the stability of the fusible fleece. And I'm gonna quilt this. You do not have to quilt it. I like the look of it. So to quilt this, I'm just gonna use a crosshatch design just like I did in the original sample. I really love the look of that. And I use a ruler and a hair marker, that's what this thing's called, to mark it. I'm gonna show you right now how I do that. So I just find the 45-degree angle on the ruler. Let's turn it around. And I'll lay that on an edge and just use this part. Now I've used this part too, this pointy part, but I guess you're supposed to use this part to do it. I don't know. So I'll do it the right way. I'll use this part. And you just run it down and it does leave a mark. It's kind of hard to see, but it does leave a mark. And I'm gonna do these 3 inches apart. Actually, is that what I did on the last one? Let me look. I did 2.5. We're gonna do 2.5. So to get rid of that mark, I can just press it and it will go away. So I'll do that on a lot of these lines. You can't do too many because you do lose the line since it's just a crease. And if you wanna mark it with a regular marking pencil, one that erases and comes off, then you can do that too. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and quilt this whole thing, and I'll meet you back here when that's all done. Here is the finished quilted pillow top. It is ready to go. We are going to take the backing fabric, which is already cut to size, and I'm going to lay it directly on top, even it out, so I am putting right sides together. And for this one, I am going to use a printed backing. For the other one that I used for the sample, I used a solid white, and I just know that it's gonna get dirty. This one I decided to try a different fabric. It's a little darker. I'm going to line that up and I'm going to pin around the perimeter. But I need to leave an opening for turning. To remind myself not to sew the opening closed, I'm going to mark it with 2 clips. I'm going to put the opening on the side, but it doesn't really matter. Actually, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger too. I need to be able to get my hand in there. The rest of it I am going to pin all the way around, and then I'm going to sew with a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around the outside of this. Remember, right sides together, sew all the way around, leaving an opening for turning. Okay, this is all sewn all the way around and we are ready to turn it. But first I'm gonna trim up the edges, and I'm just gonna cut those corners really close to the seam, but not cutting the seam. And I'm also gonna angle them in so you can see that. I'll put an inset picture here. That's just gonna give us a nice clean corner, and I'm gonna do that to all of them. Okay, now that all the corners are done, I'm debating on whether to trim down the edges. And you know what? I don't think I'm going to this time. We'll see. We'll see how it turns out. I might reassess and change my mind. I've been known to do that. All right, I'm gonna find my opening, reach in, and turn. Oh my goodness. I am loving this. All right, I'm gonna push out those points. Let's see, I have a chopstick here. You can use really anything that's not too pointy. Chopsticks work great. I happened to get this set when I was a teenager, and I was on a trip to New York City. It's so funny, I have stuff like that from 30 years ago, 30 plus years ago. But I do, and I still use it. All right, I'm gonna give this a really good press, pushing this out the sides, and then we're gonna stuff it. All right, it is pressed on the edges really well. I am going to take the stuffing. Remember how I said I use pillows? This is what I have left. I have to get to Walmart and get a few more. So I'm stuffing this in. And the big tip with this with pillows is you want to get it like, I don't know, knead it like dough a little bit. And then you're going to start with your points, so the corners, and stuff it in there. Okay, look at that. I used up the rest of my pillow from Walmart. These are great for stuffing and making pet beds, using like your scraps and stuffing them in here, making pet beds to donate to the shelter. You can even make a cover for them so they can wash the cover. Great way to use the casing of the pillow. All right, so now that this is all fluffy and wonderful. It's time to close this up. Now I did kind of make a boo-boo because I probably shouldn't have left the opening where the ribbon is, but oh well, that's the way it goes. Now I am going to fold this under and clip it. I'm gonna actually hand stitch it because I like to hand stitch, but you can take this right to the machine and stitch it down. Just make sure you use matching thread so it blends in really nicely. You're gonna stitch right along that edge and then you're done. That's it. That's how you make this. It's so cute and it's cozy and comfy. It would make a great gift. You could also use this exact same pattern and make a pillow cover if you wanted to, with an envelope closed or a zipper. You could do all kinds of stuff with this. I hope you enjoyed this. There is a PDF for the pillow and there is a pattern in my shop for the full quilt if you're interested in making the full quilt. And that's what I'm gonna get busy doing next, is making up another one of those full quilts, because for Quiltmas we did a giveaway. I don't have that quilt. I really want one. All right, I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season and I will see you real soon. Bye.